Well, we live from New York. India Live, India's voice to the
Voice
world.
of a
I'm
rising
Prasar
aspirational
Bharati
world.
in the next 30 minutes. Israeli PM Netanyahu says if needed, Israelis will stand alone in its fight against Hamas after U.S. warning on arms supplies. Israel strikes eastern Rafah as ceasefire talks end with no deal. Rescue teams race against time to deliver aid to flood-stricken communities in southern Brazil. More intense rain expected as death toll reaches 107. Campaigning picks up momentum ahead of fourth phase of India's general election scheduled for May 13th. Political parties hold rallies and roadshows. And after terrible Thursday, Friday cheer in Indian markets, Sensex up nearly 500 points, Nifty above 22,000. An update on Israel-Hamas conflict first. Rejecting international pressure to halt military operation in Gaza, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that if needed, Israel will stand alone in its fight against Hamas.
We are determined and we are united in order to defeat our enemies and those who want to destroy us. If we need to stand alone, we will stand alone. I have said that if necessary, we will fight with our fingernails. But we have much more than fingernails, and with that same strength of spirit, with God's help, together we will win.
Well, Netanyahu spoke after U.S. President Joe Biden said the United States would not provide offensive weapons for Israel's military operation on the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The U.S. has already paused a shipment of bombs to Israel. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he hopes that U.S. President Joe Biden and he can overcome their disagreements over the conflict in Gaza. In an interview to a TV channel, Netanyahu said Hamas hide behind their civilians. The Israeli Prime Minister again made it clear that he will do whatever necessary to protect Israel. Also, the United States said it believes a major military operation in Rafah would weaken Israel's position in hostage talks with Palestinian militants Hamas. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller in a daily briefing said Washington continues to engage with Israel on amendments to a ceasefire proposal submitted by Hamas.
We actually think that a Rafah operation would weaken Israel's position both in these talks and writ large. We've talked about this before, that a major military operation in Rafah would further weaken Israel's standing in the world, would further create distance from its partners in the region who actually share Israel's goal of seeing Hamas defeated and want to see Hamas replaced with a different governance structure in Gaza.
Meanwhile, Israeli troops took control and closed the Rafah crossing with Egypt at the start of their operation. A senior Israeli official late on Thursday said that the latest round of indirect negotiations in Cairo to halt hostilities in Gaza had ended and Israel would proceed with its operation in Rafah and other parts of the Gaza as planned. He added that Israel has submitted to mediators its reservations about a Hamas proposal for a hostage release deal. Also, delegations from Hamas, Israel, the U.S., Egypt and Qatar had been meeting in Cairo since Tuesday. The talks in Egypt's capital made some headway, but no deal was reached. Hamas blames Israel for the lack of agreement, while Israel has said it is open to a truce but has rejected demands for an end to the conflict. Well, the United Nations General Assembly is set to back a Palestinian bid to become a full UN member on Friday. The Palestinians are reviving the bid to become a full UN member, a move that would effectively recognize the Palestinian state after the United States vetoed it in the 15-member UN Security Council last month. Though the General Assembly alone cannot grant full UN membership, the draft resolution being put to a vote on Friday will give the Palestinians some additional rights and privileges from September 2024, like a seat among the UN members in the Assembly Hall, but it will not be granted a vote in the body. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sacked the head of the state guards on Thursday after two members were accused of plotting to assassinate the president. The State Security Service, or the SBU, said that this week it had caught two men, colonels in the State Guard Service, accused of plotting the assassination of Zelensky and other top officials. The Security Service also claimed that the men were recruited by Russia's Federal Security Service, or the FSB, who leaked classified information to Moscow. Though Russia has not commented on this yet, according to SBU, the men were tasked with finding someone close to the presidential guard who would take Zelensky hostage and later kill him. There was no indication at what point the alleged plot had been foiled. Our latest on the Baltimore mishap, authorities hope to unblock the port's shipping channel by the end of May. The economically vital channel in Maryland's Patapsco River has been largely closed since the collapse of Baltimore's Key Bridge on 26th of March. The economically vital channel in Maryland's Patapsco River has been largely closed since the collapse of Baltimore's Key Bridge on 26th of March. Speaking to media, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has said that the 6-week closure of large portions of the port has certainly had an impact on supply chains, particularly as it came at the same time as war-related disruptions to shipping in the Red Sea and weather-related disruptions to the operations of the Panama Canal. And former U.S. President Donald Trump has accused the New York judge overseeing his hush money trial of corruption. The judge, Juan Merchant, denied Trump team's request for a mistrial after adult film star Stormy Daniels gave detailed testimony about an alleged sexual encounter. Trump, who has pleaded innocent to 34 felony charges of falsifying business records, criticized the ruling as a disgrace. Did India's correspondent Sally Patterson reports for more from New York on this.
After more than 6 hours of testimony, Stormy Daniels' time on the stand came to an end on Thursday. She talked the jury through her alleged relationship with Donald Trump that she says began back in 2006. She claims to have met the former president at a golf tournament in Lake Tahoe. She says they spoke and he later invited her back to his hotel suite. She spoke to her publicist, who told her to go ahead as it would be a great story either way, and she decided to go. Turning up at his suite, Daniels says that Donald Trump was wearing just his pajamas made of silk or satin. She says they discussed her career, they discussed the porn industry more widely, and they even discussed going into business together. Afterwards, she said she went into the bathroom, and when she came out, she claims Donald Trump was lying on his bed wearing just his underwear, and she says a sexual encounter then took place. Trump has repeatedly denied any sexual relations between the pair.
I'm innocent, and I'm being held in this court with a corrupt judge who's totally conflicted.
On the stand, the Trump's team tried to use that as an opportunity to really undermine Daniels' story. They claim that she only really spoke out about it in order to try and get money out of the story and also to boost her own position and status. But Daniels says, actually, if anything, speaking out about what she says is the truth cost her, didn't benefit her at all. She said she was forced to move home several times. She said she had to buy security in order to protect herself and her family, and she said she was threatened on social media. This all comes amid a case which is looking at an alleged payment made to Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election. The prosecution claims that that money, which was paid by Michael Cohen, who at one point was Trump's lawyer and fixer, was then paid back by Donald Trump to Cohen. They say that that money was then filed as a legal expense, which they say was actually incorrect and actually illegal. Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal counts of falsifying business records. He could face jail time if found guilty on the case. He's, of course, running to be president of the United States once again and is frustrated to be spending time inside the courtroom and not out on the campaign trail. Sally Patterson in New York, reporting for DD India.
And Fiji's former long-serving Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama was on Thursday sentenced to a year in prison for perverting the course of justice. Bainimarama was initially spared jail in the case during sentencing last month before being overturned on appeal. A former military chief, Bainimarama, came to power in a 2006 coup and later won democratic elections in 2014 and 2018. He was found guilty this month by the High Court of attempting to pervert the course of justice while he was Prime Minister by telling the then Police Commissioner Sitiveni Quillaho not to investigate allegations of graft at the region's University of South Pacific. And weather updates now from across the globe. Rescue efforts continued in southern Brazil as the region battles devastating floods which left at least 107 people dead on Thursday. More than 1 million people have been affected by flooding in Rio Grande do Sul. Over 67,500 are in shelters. The military and volunteers are on ground organizing food and clothing for the victims. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said on Wednesday that the damage will only be quantifiable when the waters recede. And almost 1 million people have been affected in East Africa as flooding and landslides wreak havoc in Burundi, Kenya, Somalia and Tanzania. The unusually heavy rains exacerbated by the 2023-24 El Nino climate phenomena has led to heavy damage. Hundreds of lives have been lost, highlighting the urgent need for humanitarian assistance. Large number of people have been displaced with significant damage to homes, schools and infrastructure. And a scorching heat wave gripped Mexico on Thursday, raising temperatures. A maximum temperature of 33 degrees Celsius was recorded in the country's capital. Mexico is experiencing its second heat wave of the spring season, with temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius across the country. Electricity demand and unseasonably hot weather caused power outages in at least 15 states, and drought has affected dam levels. While Costa Rica is suffering from the worst drought in 5 decades, to reduce pressure and cope with shortages, the country announced an electricity rationing plan on Thursday. A severe lack of rainfall has affected hydroelectric plants, which gives about 70% of its electricity supply. The country last saw electricity rationing in 2007. State-run electricity company ICE has blamed the drought conditions partly on the El Nino phenomena. Back in India, the Meteorological Department has announced that the heat wave is nearing its end across the nation. Some regions in West Rajasthan and Kerala are still facing severe heat wave, prompting authorities to issue alerts. IMD says multiple weather systems are expected to influence various parts of the country in the coming days, bringing rainfall, thunderstorms, lightning and gusty winds. And now let's take a look at other stories making news across the globe. A massive 3D printer dubbed the Factory of the Future 1.0 is building a house in Maine. The printer has been designed to help address a shortage of homes and construction workers in the U.S., printing dwellings in days that could be installed within hours. The prototype, called BioHome 3D, is made entirely with bio-based materials. 15 breathtaking exhibitions called Limitless are on display at the Mercer Labs Museum of Art and Technology in New York's Manhattan. The 36,000 square foot museum incorporates Braille and provides an immersive experience in art, sound and technology. One of the installations also generates 507,000 LED neuron microchips. A fresh installment in the popular Lord of the Rings movie series is set to debut in theaters in 2026. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav on Thursday announced that it would be one of the 2 new Lord of the Rings films. English actor Andy Serkis will direct the first of the 2 films. And still to come in this edition of India Live. As the 4th phase of India's Lok Sabha elections nears, political parties pick up on their campaigns to woo the voters. Portals of Kedarnath Shrine open for devotees in North India's Uttarakhand. And famous monuments across Europe lit up ahead of EU elections.
how bad is climate change for us Indians? And 80% of our population lives in districts that are at risk of climate-induced disaster.
It is a concrete structure. It is a groundwater tank. So they collect the water, store it. When they go deeper after 10 feet, they used to get the saline water.
We are now at a much warmer. So the 1.2 degrees Celsius of warming means that every single heat wave is now hotter, longer and more likely.
What people need to know is when is it going to start raining? When is it going to stop? If we provide this information, people can make their plans accordingly.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, let's get to the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Well, the fourth phase of India's Lok Sabha elections is set to be held on May 13th, with voters across 96 constituencies in 10 states to cast their ballot. The phase will witness voters in all 25 seats in Andhra Pradesh and 17 constituencies in Telangana, along with other states participating in the electoral process. The build-up to this phase has been intense, with political rallies and campaigns in full swing. Also, Andhra Pradesh will hold polling for 25 parliamentary seats and 175 seats in the state legislature on 13th of May. The state has lagged in development since Telangana was carved out of Andhra Pradesh 10 years ago. Voters have been supporting regional parties such as the Telugu Desam Party and Yuva Jana Shramika Raitu Congress Party. A regional sentiment is strong in Andhra Pradesh. So the poll arithmetic revolves around it. This time around, the ruling Yuva Jana Shramika Raitu Congress Party is going to alone against the coalition of Telugu Desam Party and the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance. Marklin reports for more from Visakhapatnam.
The state of Andhra Pradesh goes to the polls in a single phase to elect 25 members to the Lok Sabha and 175 members to the Legislative Assembly. 2019 had seen the incumbent YSRCP sweep the polls, winning 22 of the Lok Sabha seats and 151 of the Assembly seats. Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy now faces the combined strength of the Telugu Desam Party, the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Jan Sena Party. In the Lok Sabha, the NDA has a seat sharing of 17 to the TDP, 6 to the BJP and 2 to the JSP. The alliance has been campaigning hard in the state.
Now it is a straight fight between the alliance, NDA and alliance, that is TDP, JSP and BJP, and YCP.
In the outgoing assembly, the YSRCP had a huge majority of 151 seats, with nearly 50% of the vote share. The TDP, despite garnering nearly 40% vote share, were reduced to 23 seats, and the Jan Sena had one seat with just over 5.53% votes. The TDP is contesting 144 assembly seats, the JSP 21 and the BJP 10. The contest is being seen as evenly balanced between the YSRCP and NDA.
After 2014, when there was a wave of Jagan, people started believing in him, saying that he would be a young man who would do something about it. 2019 Jagan wave just swept across the state. So people thought, let's give him an opportunity.
The YSRCP is banking on the continued support of rural voters, where welfare schemes like senior citizens pension, a scheme to support mothers and another for socially and economically backward women seem to be a success. But in urban areas like Visakhapatnam, voters are looking at unemployment and the slow pace of development.
What we feel is like we should get some development in our state or the country wide, and we even need jobs which we are not getting. Like there are jobs but which are not reaching to us exactly, and the government should give the security and the standard of living should be improved for the people actually.
इसका scheme बहुत अच्छा है जगन मोहन रेड्डी का, मगर
the schemes are very good, but there are no companies, no jobs. A lot of youth is just sitting idle.
खाली बैठा है, किसी को काम धंधा नहीं है.
The value of vote cannot be calculated or sold with money, so it is evident how valuable it is.
When the public sees this as a 50-50 contest, the impact of votes garnered by smaller parties impacts the fortunes of the two major players. Clearly, the fight in Kadapa, where the Congress party has put up the sitting CM's sister, is likely to eat into the YSRCP votes. But does it benefit the TDP?
No, you can look at it in a different way. It could be like, anti-incumbency vote that Jagan had, instead of coming to TDP, might go to Congress. Okay. What was presumably earlier thought of that would come to this alliance might move to Congress now. So whether TDP would stand to gain or not is something to be watched.
The scales seem even on both sides. The 4 crore voters of Andhra Pradesh have key questions on their mind. Do they want more of the same? Are they going to go back to the past? Or is a new force emerging from within Andhra Pradesh? With cameraman Piyush Vardhan Verma, this is Mark Lin, DD India, Visakhapatnam.
All right, amidst election fever, the city of Indore in Madhya Pradesh has a different political story. Instead of seeking votes for candidates, a campaign is on to gather support for Take a Guess. Nota, the none of the above or Nota option allows voters to reject all candidates. Amit Mukherjee reports for more.
This is Indore, one of the vibrant cities in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. The city goes to polls on May 13, along with 7 other cities in the Malwa region located in the western part of the state. The political temperature here is undoubtedly high with the elections on, but this city has hogged the limelight for a unique political situation. The ruling political party of the state, the Bharatiya Janata Party or the BJP, does not have a political opponent for the parliamentary seat here. The only politically significant candidate, Akshay Bam, from the Indian National Congress, BJP's main political rival in the state, has withdrawn his candidature. In fact, not only has he withdrawn, he has even joined the BJP. With this, BJP does not have any significant opponent, though some smaller parties and independent candidates are in the poll fray. Now, BJP's rival Congress is crying foul, and following this, the Congress has been appealing to voters to press the Nota or none of the above option on the electronic voting machine to teach BJP a lesson.
No one will lend their support to Congress party, so people can vote whoever they want to. But we request them to press Nota.
But even on this, BJP has launched counter-campaign. The party is motivating people to come out in large numbers to vote and make the party win the Indore Lok Sabha seat with an overwhelming majority.
We have developed the city, and on that basis we are fighting elections. As far as Congress is concerned, they have gone mad, and that's why they are spreading a wrong message.
Even ambush tactics have been launched against the Nota poster campaign. Autos or passenger three-wheelers with posters favoring Nota are being stopped, and the posters are being replaced with the ones countering them.
These Nota posters were a stick on our autos without letting us know. This act of Congress has really angered us. So we have removed this poster and have put up new posters urging voters to vote for the best candidates.
But interestingly, as per the election rules in India, even if Nota votes are highest in number, the candidate that gets maximum number of votes among the contenders will be declared the winner.
In Indore constituency of Madhya Pradesh, the fate of BJP might be decided by a coin with heads on both the sides. Even if Nota gathers maximum number of votes, BJP might win the seat just for a song. With camera person Anil Thakur in Indore, Amit Mukherjee for DD India.
While campaigning for the 4th phase of Lok Sabha elections scheduled for May 13th gains momentum as political leaders holding rallies and roadshows across the nation. In order to garner support of voters in favour of party's candidate, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Maharashtra, Telangana, Hyderabad and Odisha today to hold rallies and roadshows there. Also, in order to garner support in party's favour, political parties geared up to woo voters across the country. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge to hold rallies in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Bahujan Samaj Party Supremo Mayawati to hold public meetings in Akbarpur parliamentary constituency of Uttar Pradesh. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav to hold rallies in Uttar Pradesh's Kannauj and Kanpur. Well, the Char Dham Yatra commences with the opening of portals of Kedarnath Shrine today with worship and Vedic chanting. The portals of Kedarnath Dham, one of the 12 Jyotirlingas of Lord Shiva, were opened for the devotees on the auspicious occasion of Akshaya Tritiya. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami was present along with the numerous pilgrims at the holy shrine during the ceremonial opening of the temple. And on to some business news now. The Indian stock market kicked off the trading day on a positive note, riding on the back of favorable global market indicators. The Sensex, the benchmark index of the Bombay Stock Exchange, surged 345.94 points, opening at 72,635.24, while the Nifty, representing the National Stock Exchange, rose 27.65 points, starting at 21,985.15. Well, famous monuments across Europe were illuminated in European Union colours to mark Europe Day on Thursday, a month ahead of the EU elections in June. The European flag with its 12 yellow stars was projected on the facades of landmarks in Croatia and Bulgaria. Rome's ancient Colosseum and Madrid's Puerta del Sol were also lit up as part of the campaign to raise awareness among citizens ahead of the elections. EU citizens will elect 720 new members of the European Parliament for a 5-year term from the 6th to the 9th of June. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Well, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.